proceed to our lecture 11. Wait, I share my screen first. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this chapter, we will learn about high-level language interface. Okay, so we will proceed. The high-level language interface, meaning whatever language other than the assembly language, because the assembly language is the low level language, right? So high level language is like your C++, your C sharp, your whatever programming language that we have learned previously. So it is high level language. Okay, so in this chapter, we will learn about how we can interface high-level language with assembly language, meaning how we can connect or integrate between the assembly language with a high-level language. So in this chapter, we will learn how to integrate C++ with assembly language. Okay. Okay, so there are three topics in this chapter, which is the introduction, and then we will learn two ways of integrating assembly language to high-level language, which is C or C++. All of you are familiar with C++, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it should be easier for you lah. But for me, I have left C++ or 10 years ago, but it's okay lah because I can understand some of the syntax already.
Use don't you use it regularly at work? C++?
Oh, C++, no.
No.
Previously, I used C sharp.
The C sharp more common at work.
Yes, because C sharp I usually use for ASP.NET. So previously we used ASP.NET, but also using Visual Studio lah. But no worry, because usually all of the programming language it has the same all of the programming language it has the same common general rules, which is it has a function or module or procedure. It is just different name or syntax. Different programming language having the same name, the different name or different syntax lah. But in general, it surely have a variable, a function, or a module or procedure in assembly language. A module or function it is called as procedure, kan? But in C++, I think it is struct, struc. I saw the code just now. It is like a struct. Yeah, so I mean it only difference in the syntax and the naming, but usually programming language they are sharing the same general concept lah. Okay, so in this chapter we will learn two ways of how we can use assembly language into C++. Okay. Okay, so before we learn the two ways, we need to learn why we need to link the assembly language with the high-level program lah. Okay, so because we can use the HLL for overall project development, meaning it is the main. You develop your project using HLL. So it can relieve the programmer from the low-level details. We don't need to know which register need to be use, because it is already usually HLL already covered it for us. Okay, so another purpose why we need to link the assembly language with the HLL is because when we use the assembly language, it can speed up the critical section of the code. Okay, so beside that, it can also access the non-standard hardware devices. Maybe there are some instruction that only assembly language can uh, achieve. Especially for the hardware devices. Okay, because assembly language are usually used to operate hardware, because assembly language is more to computer instruction kan. So assembly language are mostly used to code hardware devices. Okay, so that's why some of the HLL, they are not cannot access the non-standard hardware devices lah. For specific hardware devices that only can be achieved by assembly language. So that's why we need assembly language to integrate it into our HLL. And then we also need assembly language to write a platform specific code. And then we also need it to extend the HLL capabilities. Actually, Kelvin, your question just now kan, the C sharp is common to my previous company lah, but I cannot say that to all the. It cannot represent how the industry overall lah, because some industry it is based on what is their business. For example, some company of or software house, they want to develop or they are focusing on developing a website or web system kan. So maybe they are using some like the Django lah or Bootstrap or all of the technology for creating website lah. But in my company last time, we are focusing on asset management system. And then it is also a web system, but we are more using C sharp, because we are using the model view controller framework that is introduced by ASP.NET. Okay, so and my previous company, we are using Visual Basic. Okay, so I also have worked in my first internship company. We use Visual Basic, but we use Visual Basic lah, but it is integrated with some back-end program or language. So it is depends on the company lah. I cannot really say that okay, all of the industry are using C sharp, cannot lah. Okay, so it is based on the company itself lah. But usually C++, because it is macam the basic programming language, most of the student from any university, even me last time, in my uni time, we learn programming C, which is the older version of C++. But now, currently, the millennial like you all are learning C++. It is the newest version of programming C. Why usually university will teach this language? Because it is like a basic programming language that usually the concept inside the C++ can be applied to any other programming language out there lah. Okay, so this is the general convention. So these are actually the general consideration when we want to integrate assembly language with our high-level language, which is the first consideration is both your ASM and your HLL must use the same naming conventions. Okay, so when it is says convention, conventions, meaning it is a rules and regulation of how you can name, for example, your variable, your function, how you naming, all of that. Okay, so assembly language and the high level language, that both of it must use the same naming convention. It also must use the same memory model with compatible segment names. And then both of them also must use the same calling convention. So what is the calling convention? Calling convention is the rules and regulation of how we can call any parameter, or how we pass the argument. Okay, so it must use the same rules and regulation of how we can do calling or passing argument or parameters lah. Okay, so calling convention is this is actually the what is the calling convention. Okay, so like I said just now, it identifies specific register that must be preserved by the procedure. Meaning in this calling convention, there are it will specify what register that cannot be called or cannot be used, and then what register you can call in your HLL. And then in the calling convention also, it specify how to determine how to pass argument to procedure. Okay, so how we can pass any argument to procedure, either it is using register or using the stack or using shared memory or etc. lah. Okay, so it should specify how all of these arguments or parameter pass into each other lah. Okay, so after that, this calling convention also determine the order in which argument are passed by calling program to the procedure. Okay, so this calling convention also determine whether arguments are passed by value or by reference, and then it also determines how to stack pointer is restored after a procedure call. Then this calling convention also telling or that determine how functions will return the value lah. Okay, so external identifier. External identifier is like okay, we read the definition first. Okay, so an external identifier is a name that has been placed in a module's object file in such a way that the linker can make the name available to other program modules. Okay, so the linker resolve reference to external identifier, but can only do so if the same naming convention is used in all of the program. Okay, so external identifier is like external variable that is not inside your C++ code. It is inside the assembly language code, but you can use any variable from the assembly language as external identifier or external variable, but you must use the same name lah. You cannot use the other names because it will not find what it will not, dia tidak kenal lah if you use the same if you use any other name rather than the name inside the assembly. Okay, so the external identifier, it will be used in all program modules as long as you are importing that assembly language code inside your C++. Okay, so now we will proceed to the first way of how we can integrate assembly language into C++. Which is inline assembly code. We call it as inline assembly code. Okay, so inline assembly code is the where the assembly language source code is inserted directly into a HLL program. Okay, so you can directly code the assembly language inside your HLL. Okay, so the compiler, for example, the Visual Studio and Borderlands C++, have compiler-specific directive that identify inline assembly language. So these are two examples of compiler that can compile assembly language inside the C++. Okay, so it is efficient. Efficient inline code executes quickly because call and read instruction are not required. So we don't need to use any of these instructions. So it can quickly execute it. And then a simple to
RET is
code.
what?
Pardon? Oh,
RET is
RET.
what it is.
I think it is written, but we didn't cover it previously. So we only saw call kan, but I think in our IRVIN library this instruction was mentioned lah, but we didn't use it in our previous example. Okay, so it is simple to code because there are no external name, there are no memory models or naming convention involved lah during the coding because you write it inside the C++ code. But it is not portable because it is written for a single platform, meaning you cannot reuse it in another function or another file of C++ because it is only executed when the file of your C++ file is executed lah. It cannot be called to any by any other C++ code because it is only inside that code lah. There are no way or procedure on how to call it. Okay, so this we will learn the syntax. Okay, so we use _ASM directive in Microsoft Visual C++ when we want to use assembly language instruction. For example, for a single statement, you can just use this one lah, _ASM and then maybe MOV ESX, comma 25, okay? But if you want to use multiple lines, so you will need to use this _ASM with the square bracket and then with the closing bracket. Okay, so this is the syntax. Okay, so for commenting style, we can follow the commenting that is usually that is used in C++ lah. But we can also use the commenting style that is from assembly language. But it says that it is preferable to use the bottom two here because it is using the C++ syntax. Okay, so this is what you can do when you want to do the inline assembly code, meaning when you want to use the assembly code inside your C++ using inline code way. Okay, so you can use any instruction from the Intel instruction set, meaning whatever instruction that we have learned previously, but there will be some exception lah, but we will learn that later in what you cannot do lah. Okay, so we can also use register names as an operand. So remember operands, after any instruction there must be an operand, so we can use register as an operand. Okay, we can reference function parameter by name. Okay, so we can Okay, I will show you some example. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the example on how we can incorporate the assembly language inside C++. So you can see here, there are this syntax ASM, and then it is closed by the square bracket. Sorry, this one. Okay, what it means by you can reference function parameter by name, functions parameter by name, meaning functions might, because this example, let's say in your C++ you have this function or object lah ini kan, I can call this as an object. In this object it has some attribute. Okay, so in your C++ you assign an instant from that object. And then the instance of this object you can call inside your assembly language, which is this one. Okay, understand? That is the meaning of this one. You can refer function's name parameter by its name. Okay, so reference code levels and variables that were declared outside the ASM block. Okay, so any variables and labels that declared outside the assembly language or assembly block, you can also refer. For example, whatever variable inside the C++, but outside the ASM blocks, you also can use directly. For example, this is the my chart, and then you can move the my chart into EX. Okay. After that, use numeric literals that incorporated either assembly style or C style radix. So who remember what is radix?
The hexa binary.
Yes. Okay. So we can also use D, H, and B inside your ASM blocks. Okay. So we only can use PTR operator in statements such as increment, byte, PTR, ESI. So we can use this. Okay, so we can also use even and align. I think this one we never saw any of this instruction in our example previously, but yeah, this instruction exists and it can be used inside the ASM blocks inside the C++. And then we can also use length, type, and size directive. Okay, so this is what we cannot do when we use inline code. Okay, so use data definition directive SDB, DW, or byte. We cannot do, we cannot use this lah. Either it is a double byte or double word or byte. Any of that data definition we cannot use in inline. Then so we can also we cannot use any assembly operator other than PTR. Okay, so in the can do just now we can use PTR, but and in what you cannot do, meaning you cannot use any other assembly operator other than PTR. And then we also cannot use struct, record, with, and must. And then we also cannot use the offset operator, but LEA is okay. Okay, so LEA is actually this one. The LEA is the instruction. It is an instruction is a way of obtaining the address which arises from any of the Intel processor memory addressing modes. Okay, so actually it has the same function with offset. If you remember offset meaning you want to get the address of that item inside the memory kan. But we cannot use offset in inline code, but we can use LEA to replace if we want to use offset lah. And then we can use we cannot use macro directives such as macro, REPT, IRC, and IRP. And then this also we didn't use this in any of the example previously lah. But I think we also didn't learn this lah. But it is inside the long list of the instruction that we can use in assembly language. And then we cannot reference segment by name. For example, we cannot use, for example, yang code. We cannot use this one. For example, this data code. This is the name of some of the segment kan in your assembly language. So in the assembly language inline code of the assembly language inside that C++, you cannot use that. But you can only use the name of your register lah as an operand, like what in this. Excuse me. Like what this when mana sudah tuh register name as an operand. So we can use register name as an operand. And but here it says that we cannot use any segment name. For example, .code, .data, but we can use segment register names as operand.
So the data definition have to do outside the assembly.
Outside the assembly, yeah.
Oh. So the one, the second point.
Which one?
The point. So if like
This
the add, sub, multiply, it cannot use lawan. Like that.
I think the PTR in this one assembly operator. I think assembly operator. All the multiply, I think that one can be used. That's what it means by the assembler operator. Any other assembly operator is I remember there's a list just now, but we can only use PTR. Assembler. Maybe in lecture. Assembler. PTR lah. PTR operator. So data related operator and directive. Okay, so we need to double confirm because nanti salah. Use assembly operator other than PTR. But we can use length, type size. Length, type size. I will get back to you about this because I also not sure about this and I don't want to give wrong info. Okay, so my assumption is this one lah, and we can only use PTR, but I will double confirm with you all lah. Okay. Okay, so after that, register usage. So these are memang the rules that that we must follow lah. We can only we can modify EAX, EBX, ECX, and and EDX. But we cannot use ESI, EDI, and EBP. So don't use these registers inside the inline code. Only use this. So see the inline test demonstration program. Okay, so that is actually what I show you guys just now. This one. Okay, so actually this code, it doesn't return anything. It is just want to show what things that we can, what items that we can call or use inside the assembly code or block. Okay, so like it says just now, we can use size, we can use type, we can call any function or procedure that is outside of the SASM blocks. Okay, so we can call the instance of an object also. Okay, we cannot use any data definitions like type or double word, byte. Okay, so whenever we want to use any variable, then we can use the high level language way of declaring a variable lah. So we can use it in our assembly language. Okay, so you guys can see, and then you all can see lah, this code is only to assign what is the value of EAX. So yeah, this is how we can use the variable or the functions inside the assembly language. So if we run this, you only can see this. Okay. It didn't write string ka or what. Okay, so this program generates no output because the output is only to assign a variable or value inside your EAX. Okay, so this is the example of inline code. Okay, so now we proceed to the second way of how we can integrate assembly language into C++. Okay, so when we want to integrate assembly language into C++, so there are basic structure of it, and then that basic structure have two modules, which is the first module, we need to write an assembly language that contains the external procedure. So meaning we need to create the assembly language into another file first. And then the second module containing the C++ code or C code that start and ends the program. Meaning the C++ code is the main code lah, who start and ends the program. So we can call so in the C++ we will call the assembly language procedure. So the C++ module will add the extend qualifier. So this is the extend qualifier. So how the C++ will call the assembly language is it will need to use this extend with the double quote C and then the function name of the assembly language or the procedure, because in assembly language function is called as procedure kan. Okay, so just use this syntax extend double quote C and then function name and then the parameter that should be passed to that assembly language functions lah. Okay, so C++ module adds the extend qualifier to the external assembly language function prototype. Okay, so the C specifier must be included to prevent name decoration of the C++ compiler. Okay, so what is the name decoration? It will be in the next slide. Okay, so this is compulsory. This syntax is compulsory. And then this is important because if we didn't put it, it can, our functions or this line of code will be compiled with the C++ compiler, and when they compile it without the C, it will decorrect the name of your function. So to prevent the C++ compiler decorate this instruction, so we use this syntax. Okay, so what is the name decoration by the C++ compiler is, so the name decoration that is usually run by the C++ compiler is the compiler do this because they want to uniquely identify the overload functions. Okay, so who remember what is the overloaded functions? I think this one maybe you have learned in C++.
I think I forgot already.
Okay, Farah ingat overloaded functions.
Not sure. I don't remember already.
Okay, Calvin.
No, I don't remember.
Okay, so overloaded function is a function that having the same name. There are more than one function that have the same name, but it has different parameter. Okay, so this is the formal definitions lah. Okay, function overloading is the feature in the C++ where two or more function can have the same name but different parameter. Okay, so maybe there will be another function which is called as array sum also, but maybe it receive three parameter. Maybe there will be maybe it will receive another string here. Okay, but it has the same array sum. So C++ compiler usually use the name decoration when they want to compile that code because they want to identify these overloaded functions lah. Because if they didn't do it, they will not know which array sum or which function that they compiling. Because if it has the same name kan, so it will cause the confusion lah to the compiler. So that's why they create the name decorations function when they compile the code. Okay, so what is name decoration is, for example, this one, for this function, they will, when the compiler compile this code or this function, they will convert it to something like this. For example, they will encode the return type. Return type is this one, and then the function name, and then the parameter type. So this is the parameter type. So for example, for this function, when the compiler run or compile this function, it will convert the function name into this. Okay, so it is started with the return type, and then the name of the functions, and then after that the two parameter that is received by that function. Okay, so why we want to avoid the compiler to name decorate our external function here, because C++ compiler vary in the way they decorate function name. Okay, so different C++ compiler, different different way of decorate the function name. So it will be confusing. So that's why we don't want C++ compiler to name decorate this extern C++. So that's why we use because we want to avoid that name decoration. Okay, summary already. Okay, so as the summary, in this chapter, we have learned how to use assembly language to top optimize section of application that is written in high level language, which is in two ways lah. First, inline assembly language, and then the other by linked procedure. Okay, so after that, we have learned about naming convention, which is the same. If you remember, whatever naming convention that is used in C++ must be also used in assembly language. And then we also learn about what is the name decoration, why it is used by compiler um, because they want to differentiate the overloaded functions, but we can avoid the system to compile our extend or how we can call the functions from assembly language by using the double quote C. And then we also learn about the calling convention determined by the high level language program. And I want to show you guys the example of the second way of how we can integrate the the C++ with the assembly language. So this is how we can use, but tomorrow we will learn in detail lah about this. Okay, so this is how we have a function that is in another file, which is assembly multiply array.asm. So this is the code in assembly language lah. So this is the code that will be called by the C++ code here. Okay, so you can see it has the same name as this assembly multiply array, and then it must it must receive the same name of the variable or argument that is passed. Okay, so in this assembly multiply array, it uses this variable. It receives this mval, which is in D word, array ptr variable, which is in D word also, and then array size, which is also in D word. So we must use exactly the same name of the variable, and you need to when you want to call that function. Mval
The
array.
ASM is written. The code in ASM is C++.
This one, no. This is in assembly language.
The ASM the code in ASM.
Yeah, the code in ASM kan this one lah.
Oh.
It is in assembly language.
Or assembly.
So we can code whatever we want in assembly language and put it in another file, and then the file size the file type must be in .asm lah, because it is ASM language kan. So when we want to use all of this function, because the function name here is ASM mult array, so we want to use this function inside this main CPP or C++ code. So how we want to use it? Just by this line lah. You must use the same name of procedure or function that is declared in the file lah, in the SM file. Then we need to include this multarray.h. This one actually how it is the linker between your assembly language and then your C++ code. Okay, so this is the linker. This is the linker actually. It is another file that containing only this. So here how it use the extend what we have learned previously. The extend C void multi-array. So you can write it in your linker. Your linker must be in type of .h. Okay, so after that, in your main CPP, you will need to include the multarray.h because this is the linker that connect this C++ code to the assembly language code. Okay, but tomorrow we will learn the detail lah. Yeah, so for this, for today's session, we have finished already lah. I think this is the shortest session for this SEM, for this assembly language, because it is only 17 slides. Okay, so we will do the practice. Yes.
About the assignment, is it approved by
Is it what?
approved by the
Oh yeah, your assignment part 1 too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think I already informed you guys in the previous lecture that I approve lah already.
Because I
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah. I think I already informed you guys lah. I said you can proceed with that assignment lah, with that project. But yeah.
So if I finish already, can just submit in the GC.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, I open the assignment first because I want to know which week, if I'm not mistaken, which week 12. Wait, your project containing 3 modules, right?
So yeah, because can is only involve addition and subtraction, so I afraid like protein.
Pardon, your voice was breaking just now.
Testing. Because the assignment can it only involves addition and subtraction only.
Wait, that's not, I guess week 12, and then it says you must include arithmetic computation, mathematical operation. Okay, so write a proposal not more than 10 pages on your at least 3 type. Okay, so your assignment only use 2.
Yeah, add and sub. Yeah.
Oh, add and sub.
Maybe have to modify a bit.
Yeah, at least 3 lah. Maybe you can use negative or multiply. You already know how to use multiply, kan?
Oh yeah.
I overlooked that though. Sorry. Okay, so at least 3 types. So just add another multiply lah. But I will see your assignment first. I saw that there are 3 functions. Then I think so retail point of sale, which is specifically used. Okay, I think I have read that. Okay, cost of goods sold, gross profit, net income. I think net income, wait, beginning inventory plus purchase during the period ending inventory.
Do we need to change one of the modules so like got formula for multiple kah?
Yeah. So maybe in your gross profit, in order to get your gross profit, maybe you need to multiply some. For example, apa? There must be a multiplication lah. So you find about that lah. How to
Oh,
incorporate the multiple in your code. So at least 3 arithmetic operation, then okay already.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now you haven't started lah to code.
actually, finished already. But yeah,
Huh?
just
Finish already?
Yeah, but only
Wow.
to arithmetic lah. No,
Oh.
yeah.
too early.
Oh, okay lah. So modify it lah. Okay, good actually. Okay, so just modify it. So this week is week 10. Okay, so you have 2 weeks more. Okay, so it's okay lah if you already. So do you your assignment has interface that can be only
Can I,
the yeah.
do I
You share lah,
present?
you share. Wait I stop presenting first. Yes, I can see already. So, three of you looking together lah to create each of the function.
Yeah.
Good.
So this is the code lah.
Wait, I spotlight it first. Full screen. Change layout. Spotlight. Okay. Okay, so try run.
So over here
Cost
it
of the
asks,
Mm-hmm.
this is the main menu lah.
Mm-hmm.
So here it asks for the number 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I enter the wrong number like 5,
Wait. Wait, Noel. Okay, can start.
so if I press the wrong input like 5, it show the message lah. It's enter 1, 2, 3, 4. If I want to access this one, the cost of, so press 1. So first, it asks for the value lah for beginning inventory. So press in number like 8,000.
So this is like a barcode lah.
No,
Enter the beginning
the
inventory.
like RM lah, RM.
Oh, RM.
The nilai. So I enter
Okay.
press enter, and they ask for the current product purchase value for current product purchase. So I
Okay.
type in 4,000, then I enter again. So lastly, it asks for ending inventory. So I type only 1,000. Then I press
Mm-hmm.
enter. So I calculate lah.
Mm. The good result
Then
is okay.
Maybe just add how many of the products sold, and then I can do the multiply.
Hmm. So you guys discuss lah. Okay. So it is better if each of the function you can incorporate multiply. There are three functions kan. So you find idea lah on how you can use the multiply in each of the three module.
one module must 3 arithmetic and that.
It didn't specify it like that, but it is better. But if you cannot find, then okay lah. Maybe you, as long as you have three arithmetic in your project, then okay lah. But yeah, but it's better lah if you have three of the module have the three arithmetic. Use that arithmetic, three arithmetic lah.
Okay.
Yes. So only yang the previous one it has the error handling lah. Only this one yang have error handling. For example, yang yes no just now, if I put any other alphabet.
That one also got when I type go in again.
Oh.
Sorry. So this one, if I type in like O, say please enter or N only.
Z?
Is that
Oh, number kah?
number 5?
Okay, good. So every your entry, entry have this error handling kah?
Yeah. And the other
But
one, the value also got the check. Like if it's not an integer, then yeah, it repeats when I show it.
But there are another features that is required to prompt the username and password to log into the system.
Oh,
That one not yet, right?
not yet. Yeah, not yet.
Ah,
But that,
and then display at least two levels of menu option.
yeah, that one means how? Because
That one maybe when you first display your menu 1 until 4 just now, and then when you click one, inside the one there are another option the user must choose. Okay, so
yeah.
that
So
is the two levels
but I don't know what to show inside
to
of.
put.
Is this one consider a menu?
Please enter value for the beginning. Display at least two levels of. I don't think this one is the menu option lah. But can you go to your main menu just now? Maybe we can have can find any other any exit kan? Exit to exit. After you click exit, maybe you can have another option after it click exit. Either you want to cancel the exit or you want to continue or
Because
you
currently
want to go
it's
back. Yeah, you want to go back to this system.
Also
okay.
like confirmation lah.
Yeah,
Okay.
kan?
Right.
Okay.
So it already fulfill the second features that asked by this assignment lah. Okay, so perform input validation and give guidelines. Yes, you already have. Ask for confirmation before proceeding to the next action. But that one you haven't do kan? Ask for confirmation before proceeding to next action. Like, are you sure? Tidak lah. I think if you already if you incorporate what I said just now in the exit itu, then you already have that one lah, the ask for confirmation before proceeding to the next action, right?
Yeah.
So you add that one lah, exit to. And then include any service tax, discount, etc. in the calculations. Adakah? I
Oh,
don't remember your calculation.
yeah, don't have.
Don't have.
Yeah.
Oh.
Plus and minus only.
Okay. So maybe you can modify your system to so that the calculation saja kan, because you already have the basic system. You just only modify your formula lah.
Oh,
Okay, and then look back the system when the user enter Y or else exits the system. Look back the system when the user enters Y or else exit the system. I think this one also already fulfilled if you do like I said just now like the exit too.
oh,
The exit after you want to go back or you really want to exit. Okay, so it is already fulfilled the look back the system when a user enters Y or else exit the system. So show a summary. So this one already ada kah the show a summary?
summary is what?
Summary. Hmm, maybe.
Like show the result.
Yeah.
I thought the summary was the result of the calculation. I thought lah.
Wait, when exit the loop. When exit the loop. Can you get the summary after you finish, for example, after you finish 1, 2, and 3, and then there's some variable hold that value, and then it can be shown after, I mean, in this interface also.
Oh, don't
Cannot
have
that.
because
Show a summary. Okay, so for this show a summary, I will get back to you guys later lah because I need to ask the another lecturer.
oh,
Okay, so okay, but good that you already reached this point. The only things you need to do is only to modify a little bit your code lah. Okay, so good. Okay. Any other questions?
so far no.
Just
Okay.
just need login screen and then the confirmation for the exit.
Yeah, and then multiply it. Add
Is
multiply.
the multiply and service tax is two different thing, right?
You can use multiply to maybe to calculate the service tax or the discount. To calculate the discount, you can involve the multiply kan?
Yeah. Oh, so it's same thing lah.
Yeah, same thing lah. So you can include the service tax and in this you can include the discount or service tax when using multiply to calculate that discount. Okay. Okay. So okay, wait. In short, I will write first. First, log in. Second, include multiply. Third is the exit function to have second level menu. Then fourth is include.
Oh yeah, the summary.
Oh yeah, include uh, discount or service tax, but include multiply and include discount and service tax. It can be achieved by one action lah. Can number 5 is how to show the summary, right? So that one I owe you guys. I owe you guys.
Oh,
Show summary. Okay, so this one I will tell you guys lah. As soon as the CC tell me. Okay, wait after that, what else? Yeah, only that lah. Kan? What else? There are five. Five. But the number five is what I owe you lah. And then 1 until 4 is what you need to do. Which is first log in, second include multiply, and then the third exit function to have the second level menu, and then the fourth is the include discount or service tax. But to do that, you need to include the multiply lah. So you one action, two strike. Okay, so do you have any questions? If not, then we can end lah kan?
yeah, so far no.
Okay. Thank you all. Good job.
Miss,
Yes.
the submission for task 2 is included with task 3 also kah?
Task, yeah. Task
Oh,
3 is your presentation kan?
yeah, yeah.
Ni?
Oh, okay. So meaning the file and also the video lah.
Yeah. I think I have put it in our Google Classroom. Wait, I show you. I have already created the submission note for the task 2. Continuous assessment. Go to a continuous assessment, and then the due date is 9 April, Friday. As long as it is still Friday, 11:59 p.m. And then your submission must include your source code in .asm format and then video clip in MP4 format. And then you need to zip that to before submission.
Okay.
Oh, means the project no need lah to submit. Just the one file only. ASM file.
All lah. I mean
Oh,
because your project is in so SLN already kan, there's SLN, there's ASM, right?
oh, so have to send all lah.
Yeah, so that we also can run it lah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so bye guys.
Okay, Miss.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.